Hello, everyone. Excuse me, Brewster. I guess he doesn't want to do yoga today. We're going to get started with our breathing work, which is Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. You can do this seated or lying down as usual. I just want you to be comfortable. I want you to have full access to your lungs. I want your shoulders to be able to relax. If you can breathe through your nose, and if you can't, try blowing your nose. So go grab a Kleenex and come back. And you can then use the hands, the fingers to manipulate the nostrils. But you can also just imagine this. You can visualize yourself breathing in through one side, out the other, and you can just let your hands be relaxed. So just know that the fingers manipulating the nostrils is optional, okay? So if you're going to use the hand, it's the thumb and the ring finger that rest against the crescents of the nose. The index finger and middle finger draw in or rest on the forehead. The elbow softens against the chest. The shoulder draws down the back. The chin slightly tilts in towards the chest. Maybe close down the eyes. Take a nice deep breath in through both nostrils. Out through both. And we'll begin closing left, inhaling right. Close right, exhale left. Keep right closed, inhale left. Close left, exhale right. That's one round. We'll do two more. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. One more round. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Release the hand if you're using it. Allow your breath to return to normal in and out through both nostrils. Return to that gentle awareness of the breath and notice how it might feel different after your 3 rounds of Nadi Shodhana. We'll gently blink the eyes open if you had them closed, and we'll set up our first shape in Supta Baddha Konasana, so reclined bound angle pose. So we're working again to open up the front body, opening up the chest and the hip flexors. And so you can do this in a myriad of ways. You can just simply lay down on your back, take the soles of the feet together and the knees apart, or you can add a little bit of a support system underneath the spine. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm taking a bolster underneath my spine so that when I lay down, my chest is a little bit elevated. My shoulders are going to get a little bit of stretch. And the same thing with the pec major, pec minor. So those chest muscles are getting a little gentle stretch here as I lay down on my back. And then I have a little bit of support underneath the outer edges of the thighs. For me, it's just a little bit too much to not have anything there. So you can, if there's a lot of space between the floor and those knees and the outer thighs, I recommend adding some rolled up blankets or some throw pillows, something your muscle tissue can start to soften into. We'll be here for about 5 minutes. Set us a timer. We'll have an experience of being in silence, and if you don't hear from me for a while, I'm still here with you, and it's an invitation for you to Start to draw your awareness into the body. This is a practice called introspection, where we notice what's happening inside. So you might notice things like feedback from your body, such as a gurgling of the stomach, any sounds the body makes from the inside, the sound of the breath, moving in and out through the nose if you can. Maybe the temperature of the body. And a general sense of energy moving through the body, or maybe even noticing a lack of a sense of energy. You're just seeing what is there without judgment. Just notice, observe with a sense of curiosity. Keep checking back in with your breath. It's part of the process of your introspection, noticing the quality and the texture of the breath too. Down to the minute detail of the temperature of the breath and how it differs on the inhale and on the exhale. Breath in is slightly cooler. Breath out is slightly warmer. See if you can notice that as you breathe through your nose. Let's take one more breath here. If your knees are still far apart, you can reach down with your hands, help your knees come back together. We'll spend a few moments in constructive rest. So you'll heel toe your feet out to the outer edges of your mat and let your knees knock in. You're still bending your knees and planting your feet. I like to pick up my pelvis and curl my tailbone under and then set my hips back down to lengthen the low back. Let's take about 3 breaths here. And then we'll take a moment to sit up if there's something underneath your spine and your back, so you can move that out of the way. We're going to take supported bridge pose next. So you're going to choose a prop or props of your choice. You can use folded blankets to create that lift of the pelvis. You can use hardback books or blocks if you have them, couch cushions. Remember, this is your practice. Get creative with it. Another thing that works well actually too at home, if those of you have a foam roller can work really well for supported bridge pose too. We want something to feel relatively stable. So return to your back, bend your knees, plant your feet. You're going to lift your hips up and then slide that prop underneath the very base of your pelvis. So just a reminder, anatomically, that's not your low back. It is slightly below your low back. So think about where the top of the glutes begin and where the low back ends. Your sacrum is there, your pelvis is there. That's where you are placing the prop and elevating the pelvis. Relax those shoulder blades down the back. Notice if your prop feels supportive there, if it feels balanced from right to left, if it feels even. And then take these first few moments to make those adjustments. If you want more height, you can add more props underneath the pelvis. See what's going to feel sustainable. Again, we have a long hold. We have 5 minutes here. So we're looking for that place that is sustainable in stillness. Just a reminder, it's always okay to take the first few moments of your setup, especially in this yin practice, to make those little adjustments and kind of explore and see what's going to work for you, because how would you know if you don't try? But then eventually the goal is to settle into that passive stretch, a deep myofascial release that comes from a place of stillness. So I have my legs stretched out. And for me, that works because I can relax all the muscle tissue around my legs. It does feel a little bit achy in the low back at first. And then eventually that stretch sensation starts to move into the hip flexors and maybe even into the psoas muscle. So if you want to try that, you always can, but you can also try half and half, one leg straight, one leg bent, and I'll let you know when we're halfway through our hold. And then you can switch sides. If any of that is too much, you can always just come back to that initial setup, which is both feet planted and knees bent. With your arms, really your choice. You can rest your hands alongside the body. You could stretch the arms up and overhead. You could rest your hands on your belly if you like. Feel free to explore with that. And once we find that kind of Goldilocks effect, where yes, you might feel a little bit of discomfort, But again, it's sustainable and you're not wiggling and fidgeting a lot and your muscles are relaxing. Remembering that this is a process and it is a practice, which means it doesn't have to be perfect. That's not the goal. But can you have an experience of being in your body and practicing letting go of tension, of releasing any muscular contraction, and feeling safe in that? If you have one leg straight and one knee bent, you want to switch sides. We're about halfway through our hold. Can you sink back into that awareness of the breath? The inhale being slightly cooler, the exhale being slightly warmer. We'll return to that starting place, that constructive bridge pose. So if the legs are stretched out, bend the knees, plant the feet, and then take a moment to pause there. And then you might readjust your prop underneath your pelvis. So maybe now it's a little bit more towards the low back. Bend your knees, let your feet float off the floor. You can keep your knees bent and your thighs just resting in towards your chest, or you can stretch your feet up towards the ceiling. Want to avoid this becoming an ab exercise, right? So that's why I always offer first the knees bent, which is floating the feet off the ground. So think of legs extending up towards the ceiling as secondary. Especially if there's a lot of tension around the back of the legs and the glutes. Just keep the knees bent. You can explore movement here. You can circle out the ankles, point and flex the toes. Maybe take the legs apart and back together again a few times. Couple more breaths here. I like to give my legs a little shake. It's really good for the nervous system, good for lymphatic drainage. Lymph system is responsible for removing your cellular waste, which is really important to maintain a healthy, happy life. And so we want to make sure we're getting regular movement into our daily lives, which is how we stimulate lymph fluid. Yoga can do that. Any form of exercise, really. All right, let's bring those feet back down to the mat. And then we'll remove the prop. And we're going to do a little twist here on our backs to help that low back, especially if it felt kind of achy, to release. So first thing I want you to do is bump your hips off to the right side. Bump those hips off to the right side, and then allow the knees to fall off to the left. And then try to relax that, keep that right shoulder relaxed all the way to the floor. And if it's wanting to rotate with you, if that right shoulder is wanting to rotate with your hips off to the left, a couple of things you can do. One, a prop underneath the head and the right shoulder to help that right shoulder relax. And also not rotating so far with the legs. So you can, like I have this bolster resting against the outer edge of my left leg, so my hips don't have to rotate so far. Let's just kind of think about ergonomically how you can support your body here in your twist with the least amount of effort. I have a little bit shorter of a hold here, about 2 minutes on each side. With your arms and your twist, you can stretch them out wide like a big capital T. Sometimes it's nice to place the left hand on the outer right thigh or even on the belly. It's another little nervous system hack. It's soothing for the nervous system, hand to body connection. Try to relax your jaw here, your neck, your shoulders. Try to maintain that slow, deep belly breath through your nose. Let's take one more breath here. And we'll start to unwind out of this twist. Take a few moments to come back to center. You could choose to stretch out through the legs if you like, or you could find that constructive rest pose with your knees bent, feet wide, knees knocking into each other. If you used props on your first side, move them off to your second side. And then we'll bend those knees and plant the feet if you stretch the legs out. And then we're just going to scooch those hips off to the left side a few inches. And then we'll let the knees, the legs, fall off to the right side. And again, we want to see if we can maintain the contact with that left shoulder in the floor or a prop. We want to add in support instead of forcing the body into a shape we think we need to make. Add that support in. So you're meeting your body where it's at. Settling into the breath here. Finding that comfortable position to rest the arms. And then can we deepen the breath, deepen the awareness of the breath, and also lengthen the breath out. Last breath here. Slowly start to unwind. And as you return to center, take a moment, find that neutral place, constructive rest pose, or you could stretch out through the body. And then we'll start to settle into our final Shavasana over the next few minutes. So if there's any last movement you want to take, any last shape you want to make, or if there's a particular Shavasana setup you're craving today. And so at the very last minute of our practice, we'll have 1 minute Shavasana, 1 minute seated meditation, which will include our 3 rounds of Nadi Shodhana. Remember, you can always do that on your back here. So when I call us out of our shape, you can stay there where you are and enjoy closing your practice on your back if you prefer. Start to relax the shoulders down the back and slightly tilt the chin towards the chest. Let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Open mouth exhale. And then a very gentle seal of the lips. Eyes sinking heavy into their sockets. Let it go. Let it rest. Shavasana. Is now's the time to set up for Nadi Shodhana. You can do that on your back if you're coming to that upright seat. Support your seat so you can grow tall with ease. If you're using a hand, you're placing the thumb and the ring finger against the crescents of the nose. We'll take a nice deep breath in through both nostrils. Out through both. Begin closing left, inhaling right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Last time here. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. And release your hand. Breathing in through both nostrils, out through both. If you'd like to, you can join your hands together at your heart and bow your chin into your chest. Take a moment here to offer reverence and gratitude for our practice, to all of our teachers, past, present, future, to the teacher within your own heart. Namaste.